Yeah, or print bigger the packet. So standing. Oh, in front. I will do like this. Yeah. On your seat. Oh.
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Welcome to day 3 of the 81st session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. We will begin shortly, so kindly please take your seats. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we will begin shortly. Please kindly take your seats. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the meeting is called to order. Before we start our deliberations, I would like to invite the Secretary of the Commission to make an announcement. Lorenzo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and very good morning to all distinguished delegates. I would like to remind all delegations that this morning we're having the second round of balloting to fill one remaining seat for the governing councils of the Center for Sustainable Agriculture Mechanization, CSAM, and the Statistical Institute for Asia and the Pacific, SIAP. First, we're having a special ballot to determine who, between Mongolia and Pakistan, will be competing for the second round alongside Cambodia for the remaining seat for the Governing Council of CSAM. The special ballot between Mongolia and Pakistan is taking place as we speak, and members can cast their vote until 9:30 hours in Conference Room 1, which is the conference room just next doors. Second, we will have a second round of elections to the governing councils of CSAM and SIAP between 11 and 13 hours, also in Conference Room 1. The second round of elections for the remaining seats to the governing council of CSAM will be between Cambodia and either Mongolia or Pakistan to determine who will fill the last remaining seat of the governing council. The second round of elections for the remaining seat to the Governing Council of SIAP will be between Georgia and Pakistan to determine who will fill the last remaining seat to the Governing Council. All members in attendance are kindly requested to cast their vote. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. We will now continue with the deliberations under Agenda Item 2B, Sub-Regional Perspectives. The document pertaining to this agenda item is ESCAP/81/3 on sub-regional perspectives on current and emerging policy issues for inclusive and sustainable development in Asia and the Pacific. The consideration of this agenda item will start with opening remarks by the Executive Secretary, followed by the dialogue with sub-regional organizations to take stock of their priorities for regional cooperation within and among 5 ESCAP subregions and to highlight key areas of collaboration with ESCAP. I will open the floor for brief country interventions. It is now my pleasure to invite the Executive Secretary, Ms. Armida Salsales Jabana, to deliver her remarks. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Excellency Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, with multifaceted challenges touching every country, our region has overcome its challenges together. Other policy issues, however, must still be addressed for the region to attain inclusive and sustainable development. First is climate change. Through its impact on agriculture, energy, infrastructure, and human health, climate change alters the economic stability of countries. By affecting food production, floods and droughts in South Asia have disrupted livelihoods, especially in rural areas. Water scarcity in North and Central Asia pose transboundary risk to both agriculture as well as energy security. Climate change threatens ecosystems and the natural resources people depend on for their livelihoods in the Pacific. We must accelerate our efforts to adapt to these changes and safeguard our communities and economies. Economic vulnerability is the second. Commodity price fluctuations, together with narrow economic bases and high debt load, limit possibilities for many smaller economies. In South and Southwest Asia, countries continue to face inflation, balance of payment deficits, and financial sector stress. Given their aging demographics, countries in East and Northeast Asia must meanwhile transition from a manufacturing-based economy to one focused on innovation. Productivity slowdown, demographic change, trade flow shifts, fiscal consolidation, as well as technological limitation could further cloud progress in our region. We must enable countries to overcome their vulnerabilities. Third, demographic and social changes have led to rapid urbanization and a rise in social inequalities. Rapid urbanization in Southeast Asia has led to housing shortages, congestion, pollution, and unequal access to services. Meeting the needs of urban populations, aging societies, and marginalized communities calls for improved access to education, healthcare, and digital technologies. These intertwined challenges are by no means unique. With the range of experiences across our region, different approaches could be considered to see which could best address the needs of each country. The physical capacity and depth levels of small island developing states limit options to address the impacts of climate change. Climate resilience initiatives that provide financial protection as well as customized climate and disaster risk financing solutions in the Pacific could apply to other similarly placed countries. Lessons on renewable energy and sustainable urban planning could be drawn from East and Northeast Asia, where countries are at the forefront of green technology and innovation. This could improve the planning and implementation of measures to prepare for disasters. Regional cooperation, coupled with economic diversification and integrated climate policies, could lead to better strategies to address transboundary environmental issues in North and Central Asia. Community-driven development initiatives that aim to improve urban infrastructure and resilience in South and Southwest Asia could foster sustainable urban development elsewhere. Digital transformation and sustainable urban planning as part of smart city initiatives and green infrastructure projects in Southeast Asia could allow us to address regional urban challenges. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, Secretary General of the United Nations, through his annual report, commended the contribution of regional organizations to ensure the adaptation and implementation of global policies at the regional level. By aligning national policies with regional priorities and promoting common approaches, the work of regional organizations dovetails our objective of regional cooperation. Through this dialogue, your experiences across Asia and the Pacific could allow us to better assess the range of best practices, collaborative frameworks, and innovative solutions that could be considered for adoption. Your contributions are catalysts to a more sustainable and inclusive region. With this word, I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Executive Secretary. I will now invite the heads of sub-regional organizations in the Asia-Pacific to share their strategic priorities and highlight some of the joint activities with the ESCAP to accelerate the implementation of 2030 Agenda in their respective sub-regions. First, may I invite His Excellency Mr. Indra Manipande, Secretary General of the BIMSTEC, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. Honorable Chairperson, Excellency Executive Secretary of ESCAP, Excellencies, fellow panelists, distinguished delegates to 81st session, annual session of ESCAP, a very good morning to you. Before I speak at the outset, I would like to join BIMSTEC member states in condemning the brutal and heinous act of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory of India, which has led to loss of 28 lives and injuries to others. My sympathies are with the victims of the families. I'm delighted to represent BIMSTEC at the 81st session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission. I want to thank Executive Secretary of ESCAP for her invitation. It's a great privilege to participate in this high-level dialogue with sub-regional organizations. I warmly greet representatives of other regional and sub-regional organizations who are present here and participating in this dialogue. I would like to commend ESCAP for convening this high-level dialogue on a very pertinent topic, the challenges that our region faces in realizing the goals of inclusive and sustainable development. There is absolutely no doubt that the developing countries of our region are lagging behind in achieving the SDG Agenda 2030. While it was never going to be an easy target, the countries of our region, including BIMSTEC member states, have suffered huge setbacks due to COVID-19 pandemic. They incurred huge economic losses and missed opportunities to realize their sustainable development goals. Their debt situation had worsened due to COVID, while their access to finances had dwindled. The realization of sustainable development goals has also been impacted negatively, as Executive Secretary pointed out, by the challenges posed by climate change due to global warming. Our region has witnessed more frequent, unusual, and devastating natural disasters due to changes in weather and climate patterns caused by global warming. Climate change has particularly hit hard agriculture and allied sectors, which provide employment and livelihoods to a large segment of our populations. We are living in a digital age, and it's essential and a prerequisite that we leverage digital technologies for inclusive and sustainable development. However, there is a persistent and growing digital divide, and a large number of countries of our region have not been able to harness digital technologies due to lack of digital public infrastructure, lack of local content, digital illiteracy, and uneven access to data. This growing digital divide has also hindered the ability of countries of our region to harness other generation 4 technologies in order to address their developmental challenges. The recent unprecedented and unpredictable disruptions in global trade will certainly cause a huge setback to external trade of the countries of our region, including BIMSTEC member states, and it will have adverse impact on their ability to realize their sustainable development goals. We have also been witnessing recently a decline in the role and contribution of multilateral developmental institutions, particularly the UN and international organizations, which have been engaged in assisting the developing countries in realization of their SDGs. Their developmental programs have been disrupted due to lack of resources, which will cause setbacks to realization of SDGs by developing countries. North-South cooperation in realizing SDGs has largely been absent, and there has been a significant decline in the ODA and other developmental assistance from North. As a result, SDG Agenda 2030 has suffered, and there is difficulty for the member states to realize their goals. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, in the context of the persistent and the new and emerging challenges, some of which I have just outlined, enhancing South-South cooperation has been seen as the way forward. Developmental partnerships amongst the countries of the Global South has the potential to help them realize their sustainable development goals. The role and contribution of regional organizations becomes relevant in the context of the imperative of enhancing South-South cooperation. As there is no pan-global organization which can lead the efforts towards enhancing South-South cooperation, the salience of regional cooperation through regional organization in forging South-South cooperation has been growing. Regional organizations like BIMSTEC bring together a small group of closely related countries with shared historical and cultural linkages. Located in the same geographical space, members of a regional organization usually face similar developmental and security challenges. As they cannot deal alone with these challenges, they prioritize regional cooperation to deal with the shared challenges. The small membership of regional organizations makes it easy to build convergences and find regionally acceptable solutions. Regional organizations are also less vulnerable to the upheavals in the global politics which we have been witnessing. In this context, our dialogue today assumes a very high importance. It is in this context that I would like to underline the importance of BIMSTEC in forging regional cooperation in Bay of Bengal. As many of you may know, BIMSTEC stands for the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Founded in June 1997, it has been in existence for almost 20 years now. Its permanent secretariat is located in Dhaka since 2014. It brings together 7 countries from Bay of Bengal, 5 countries from South Asia, and 2 countries from Southeast Asia: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. In March 2022, we had signed our charter, which came into force in May 2024. The global significance of BIMSTEC is evident in its share of the global population, GDP, and trade. The total population of 7 BIMSTEC member states is estimated at 1.8 billion, over 22% of the global population. The combined GDP of BIMSTEC member states in 2023 was estimated at 4.9 trillion, about 4.67% of global GDP. And the combined external trade of BIMSTEC member states in 2023 was estimated at $1.9 trillion, around 3% of global trade. BIMSTEC has a vast agenda of 15 sectors, and we have adopted a unique concept of designating lead member states to lead cooperation in specific sectors, which makes all the member states equal stakeholders in progress in regional cooperation in all the sectors, and gives them equal opportunity to contribute to the success of BIMSTEC. We already have our established core and sectoral mechanisms for forging cooperation. In all the sectors, we have action plans which are being implemented. We have signed and adopted a number of conventions and agreements and memorandum of understanding. We have set up centers of excellence in different sectors, and we have been engaged in external partnerships. I would like to briefly mention significant outcomes of the 6th summit, which was held here in Bangkok just about 2 weeks ago. Apart from adopting summit declaration, we adopted Bangkok BIMSTEC Vision 2030, a roadmap for our regional cooperation. We signed and adopted BIMSTEC Agreement on Maritime Transport Cooperation. A number of MOUs were signed with our external partners, and new initiative of BIMSTEC Health Ministers and BIMSTEC Home Ministers meetings were announced. BIMSTEC is undergoing through a process of reform and revitalization, and we are in the process of implementing the recommendations of Eminent Persons Group report, which was presented last year. As I mentioned, BIMSTEC has sought and engaged in external developmental partnerships with the UN, international and regional organizations, and we are in the process of expanding this partnership so as to work together with the organizations which have interest in regional cooperation in Bay of Bengal. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, let me reiterate the core and fundamental strengths of BIMSTEC. It's the only regional organization which brings together 5 countries from South Asia and 2 countries from Southeast Asia. BIMSTEC now has its own charter and well-established decision-making mechanisms. As I mentioned, we have clearly identified sectors of cooperation, which are allocated to 7 member states, with member states being designated as lead member state for certain sectors. Above all, BIMSTEC enjoys the requisite political support of all its members. It has focused on technical and economic cooperation, and it has stayed away from divisive political issues. Let me conclude by reiterating that BIMSTEC provides a conducive and effective framework for promoting cooperation among the countries in Bay of Bengal region. With the expected reforms and revitalization, BIMSTEC is poised to emerge as a vibrant and effective regional organization in Asia and Pacific. I would like to conclude by commending again Executive Secretary of ESCAP for organizing this dialogue with regional and sub-regional organizations of our region on a very pertinent topic, the challenges that we face in realizing our inclusive and sustainable development goals. I again thank her for inviting me to participate in this dialogue to represent BIMSTEC. I thank you all for your kind attention. I wish this dialogue success in attaining its goals and wish you all a very pleasant and meaningful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Ghulam Sarwar, Secretary General of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Executive Secretary of ESCAP, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a true honor for me to join this high-level dialogue at the 81st session of the United Nations ESCAP. On behalf of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC, I extend warm greetings and heartfelt thanks to Her Excellency Ms. Armida Salcia and her dedicated team for convening us under this theme and resonate deeply with our shared aspiration. The emphasis of sub-regional perspective is both timely and vital. While united under the Asia-Pacific umbrella, our diversity of people, economies, and vulnerabilities demand nuanced, inclusive, and locally grounded approaches to sustainable development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, South Asia is home to nearly 2 billion people and representing over a fifth of the world population, remains a region of striking vitality and transformation. Rapid urban growth, a young and vibrant population, and increasing digital connectivity are shaping its future. Yet, these opportunities are accompanied by ongoing and new challenges that require immediate and collaborative responses. Climate change and environmental degradation are placing immense strain on our ecosystem and livelihood of millions, particularly those dependent on agriculture and coastal economies. Inequalities in access to the healthcare, education, economic opportunity have been laid bare by pandemic and remain stubbornly high. Air pollution and urban sprawl are compounding public health and infrastructure concerns, and geopolitical uncertainties and external economic shocks continue to test the resilience of our economies and institutes. These challenges are interlinked, and therefore our responses must be integrated, inclusive, and collaborative at all national, regional, and sub-regional level. Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, SAARC was founded on the enduring belief that regional cooperation is essential for accelerating the economic growth, fostering social progress, and celebrating cultural richness. In the past, the association has stood as a beacon of dialogue, trust building, and collaborative action among the member states. In the last 4 decades, our shared efforts have deepened, centered around the core principles of sustainability, equality, and resilience. I would like to highlight 4 key areas where our progress has been meaningful and inspiring. First, advancing the regional integration and connectivity. South Asia is steadily forging stronger economic ties. The South Asian Free Trade Area, SAFTA, and the South Asian Regional Standard Organization, SARSO, remains the foundational in this regard. Second, responding to a climate crisis and environmental risk, our region, among the most climate vulnerable in the world, faces urgent ecological challenges. Environmental protection, disaster risk reduction, and climate resilience have become central pillar of SARC agenda. Our collective commitments to reflect on numerous summit declarations and ministerial meetings. This very afternoon, we reaffirm that our pledges to co-hosting with the UN ESCAP and UNEP a timely side event on building climate resilient cities and addressing air pollution issues that deeply affect the quality of life in our urban centers. Third, investing the human capitals through our specialized regional centers. SARC fosters collaboration in education, public health, and agriculture, rural development, and energy. Fourth, embracing the digital inclusion in innovation. The digital age offers immense promises, and we are determined not to leave our people behind. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in this endeavor, partnership are our strength. Our collaboration with ESCAP exemplifies the transformative power of working together. By uniting regional and sub-regional institutes, we amplify impact, share knowledge, and better align our priorities with the broader aspiration of the Asia and the Pacific. As the global landscape grows more complex and interconnected, these synergies are not just valuable, they are also very vital. Through deeper cooperation, we can build a South Asia that is not only more prosperous, but also more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. Let me also take a moment to reflect on today's theme, inclusive and sustainable development, not merely a policy objective, but as a profound moral imperative. Inclusiveness calls upon us to extend the benefit of growth to the poorest, the most vulnerable, and historically marginalized communities. It means closing gender gap, ensuring equitable access to the education, healthcare, and digital connectivity, and empowering youth and underrepresented voices in the decision-making process. Sustainability, meanwhile, compels us to act with foresight, preserving the environmental managing natural resources responsibly, and safeguarding the rights of future generations. It demands that we transition to greener economies, strengthen climate resilience, and embrace low-carbon development pathway. In South Asia, our development journey, while unique, is deeply interlinked with that of our neighboring sub-regions. The challenges we face today, from climate change and biodiversity loss to the trade disruptions, irregular migration, health crisis, and widening inequality, knows no border. Neither should our responses. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we come together here in Bangkok, and I feel a strong sense of optimism fueled by the shared commitment in this room to regional unity, meaningful collaboration, and development path that is both resilient and inclusive. Let us harness this momentum. Let us continue building bridges between sub-regions, synergies across institutions, and solutions that are rooted in shared responsibility. And let us work together towards an Asia-Pacific that is not only economically vibrant, but also socially just, environmentally secure, and sustainable and peaceful. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Lee Hee-sup, Secretary General of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my great honor to represent the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, TCS, at the sub-regional dialogue of the 81st session of ESCAP. I extend my sincere gratitude to our long-standing partner, ESCAP, for inviting TCS to be a part of this important dialogue once again. Before proceeding, allow me to briefly introduce the TCS. Established in 2011 by China, Japan, and the Republic of Korea, TCS is an intergovernmental organization dedicated to promoting peace and mutual prosperity in the region. Our role is to implement diverse projects within the sub-regions to facilitate trilateral cooperation in political, economic, and social-cultural affairs. Since the beginning of trilateral cooperation, our three countries have achieved remarkable economic growth, enabling the region to serve as a growth engine for the global economy. Beyond our three nations, TCS actively engages in the trilateral plus X modality, aiming to share the benefits of trilateral cooperation with the broader partners. This has led us to actively collaborate with other international entities, such as the ESCAP, the UNDRR, ASEAN Plus 3, ASEM, and others. Our collaborations with the ESCAP is especially significant, as our organization's mandate is to promote regional partnership in Northeast Asia, which aligns well with the ESCAP's agenda. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the ESCAP for its steadfast commitment to promoting a safe and prosperous region in pursuit of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I also express my deep respect for the valuable contributions being made to strengthen the regional cooperation in Northeast Asia toward these shared objectives. Since our initial collaboration in 2013, TCS and ESCAP have successfully implemented several joint projects. One of our most fruitful examples is the Forum on Carbon Neutrality Goals of China, Japan, and Korea, which has been co-organized by TCS and ESCAP since 2021. This year, we had our fourth forum held in Shenzhen, China, under the theme Carbon Neutrality and Sustainable Urban Development. The core outcome of the forum was that to accelerate decarbonization at the city level, it is essential to set ambitious policy goals and significantly increase climate finance. Building on this momentum, discussion on sustainable urban development will continue at the special side event taking place today, co-organized by TCS and ESCAP. This event will address the role of urban resilience in mitigating the effects of sand and dust storms, one of the central environmental threats posed in Northeast Asia. Experts from China, Japan, and Korea, and the regional partners, including Mongolia, will convene to explore collaborative strategies for building sustainable and resilient cities. This event is both unique and timely, aligning with the commitments made by our three leaders of the 9th Trilateral Summit held in May 2024. The joint declaration from the summit officially endorsed Trilateral Plus X collaboration with Mongolia to reduce sand and dust storms. Furthermore, the joint declaration outlined 6 key areas of cooperation, which includes people-to-people exchange, sustainable development, economic cooperation, aging society, science and technology, digital transformation, and disaster relief. These areas closely align with the pressing topics addressed by ESCAP, indicating our shared regional goals. This alignment strengthens our bonds and enables us to expand cooperation to improve the lives of people in our three countries. Excellencies, Ladies and gentlemen, China, Japan, and the Republic of Korea have served exemplary models of economic and social growth and enjoyed an exciting era of change. However, growth is not a privilege to be experienced in isolation. Our three countries are now ready to share this experience with our neighbors, and the TCS will be at the forefront of future cooperation. Once again, I thank ESCAP for its dedication and leadership in advancing these critical issues. I look forward to continued collaboration in shaping a more inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous future for our region. I also look forward to the remaining panel discussions and learning more about your endeavors on these themes. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Khairat Saribay, Secretary General of the Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, SICA. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Distinguished Chair, Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be back in Bangkok to join the 81st Commission session and address this high-level sub-regional dialogue. And as ESCAP has been widely recognized as an efficient platform for consolidate voice of Asia and the Pacific on the most important issues, SICA Secretariat attaches great importance to further strengthening the SICA-ESCAP interaction, which we consider as essential part of greater synergy for various multilateral arrangements in Asia and Pacific. With this in mind, I strongly believe that regular dialogue between regional organizations, including interaction among the heads of their respective executive bodies, significantly contributes to inclusive and sustainable development of our vast region and serves to our country's path towards the most effective solutions to common social, economic, and environmental problems. I am confident that the deliberations and outcomes of the 81st Commission will be another important step in this direction. Esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in December 2024, Azerbaijan took up the SICA chairmanship for 2024-2026 and will further propel the SICA process under the theme of stronger SICA, connectivity, digitalization, and sustainable growth in Asia, based on its extensive experience in leading prominent global platforms and serving as a bridge builder on the international stage. The chairmanship of Azerbaijan is focused on three pillars: SICA's transformation into a full-fledged international organization, effective implementation of confidence-building measures, and increasing synergy and interaction with other international and regional platforms. Aiming to develop this synergy, SICA is prepared to further enhance its partnerships and cooperation with regional institutions, enabling us to act as a driving force for positive change across Asia. Preserving the core value of confidence building as a prerequisite for a more profound, practically oriented and institutionalized cooperation in the next 2 years, SICA will also pursue greater cross-sectoral cooperation, from youth and academic engagement to enhancing economic dimension, paying due attention to transport connectivity, digitalization, climate, agriculture, cultural heritage preservation, cultural exchange, and cybersecurity issues. These dimensions align with various aspects of sustainable development goals, underscoring our commitment to stability, cooperation, and regional prosperity. Though urbanization is not directly related to the current SICA agenda, many aspects of our sectoral dialogue can contribute to a resilient and inclusive urban growth. Among them, promotion of small and medium enterprises, food and energy security, digitalization, disaster management, sustainable development, and environment protection. In particular, last August, the SICA Ministerial Conference on Environmental Issues resulted in a high-level statement reflecting the commitment of our member states to cooperate in accordance with the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement to improve the quality of life, paying special attention to climate change mitigation, biodiversity conservation and pollution control, and strengthen water management through capacity building and technology exchanges. The SICA Secretariat has been also promoting urban greenery through its showcase project called SICA Alley, calling on member states to plant such alleys in their major cities. Furthermore, mutual benefits may be achieved through alignment of SICA's regional dialogue platform with ESCAP's expertise in policy innovation and capacity building. This collaboration could enhance regional cooperation, including for resilient and sustainable urban development, creating smart city and climate-resilient infrastructure, and green economic growth through knowledge sharing, best practices exchange, and pilot initiatives supporting SDGs. Notably, in April 2024, during the last Commission session, the SICA Secretariat and UN ESCAP jointly organized a side event on leveraging digital innovation for sustainable development that featured valuable expert exchange on digital economy promotion, emergency situation monitoring, natural disaster management, and fostering multilateral cooperation. Another example of SICA-UN partnership is the joint initiative of SICA Secretariat and UN volunteers to conduct a review of the best volunteerism practices in SICA member states and organize a thematic event and photo exhibition next year to mark the International Year of Volunteers for Sustainable Development. It is our common understanding that volunteerism is an important aspect of civic engagement that can also play an important role in building resilient urban communities. SICA is also ready to engage with our partner regional organizations in development assistance and project management. And I'm happy to report that in March 2025, first ever project under the SICA Fund was implemented. The project, and I quote, "Advancing wheat cultivation for sustainable development in central Afghanistan," end quote, was proposed by Kazakhstan for providing agricultural assistance to 300 vulnerable Afghan farmers in Logar province for building long-term resilience who were facing consistent humanitarian crisis. The project was jointly funded by SICA, Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, and Islamic Organization for Food Security. Ladies and gentlemen, this high-level dialogue and its distinguished speakers attest to the fact that synergy among regional mechanisms is not just a goal, but a necessity in today's interconnected world. With its vast geographical reach, broad agenda, and diverse toolkit, SICA is fully capable to consolidate the collective wisdom of Asian nations and act as bridge between various organizations and an outreach for their best practices and solutions, fostering greater cooperation and coordination. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Khairat Saribhai. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Muhammad Hosseini, Deputy Secretary General of the Asian Cooperation Dialogue, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to speak on behalf of the ACD Secretariat at the 81st session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. The Asia Cooperation Dialogue, known as the ACD, is an intergovernmental body comprising 35 member states from Asia, aimed at fostering dialogue and cooperation at a continental level. As the only regional forum covering entirety of Asia, the ACD continues to expand its membership and deepening collaborating framework. I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizers for their kind invitation and warm hospitality. Excellencies, our world today is undergoing rapid challenges that require coordinated responses at both regional and international levels. One of the most pressing issues among these challenges is the climate change and the urgent need to preserve environmental sustainability. Asia is the region with high vulnerability to different climate risks, ranging from rising sea levels to extreme weather volatility. With that understanding, the ACD puts emphasis on the topics related to environmental sustainability in its deliberations. This commitment is reflected in the 6 priority areas of cooperation endorsed by the member states. In Tehran Declaration adopted on 24 June 2024, the ACD foreign ministers reiterated their firm convictions that Asia possesses huge potential and capacity to play a vital role, and at the same time recognizes that Asia and the ACD members, in particular, need to be aware of the importance of achieving sustainable development goals and regional impacts on global challenges, including but not limited to climate change, food security and nutrition, water and energy security, ICT security, health crisis, and in particular, the widening gap between water resources and its growing demands. In this regard, the ACD foreign minister emphasizes the importance of sustainable water management, as well as the introduction of energy-efficient and resource-saving technologies. Another key area I wish to highlight is digital transformation of the digital divide. In a world undergoing rapid transformations, countries are facing with increasing economic, technological, and political challenges. While digitalization can drive development, disparities in digital access deepen inequality within one country and across the region. As an intergovernmental platform, the ACD is of the view that regional integration is no longer an option. It has become a necessity. No single country can achieve sustainable development in isolation, and we must work towards cooperation and openness to enhance digital infrastructure and broadband connectivity to achieve stability and shared prosperity across the region. In addition, we should promote digital literacy and inclusive digital economies. The first step to do so would be to incorporate such topics in the education scheme, which I believe many countries are already doing so. Most importantly, the education system in rural and underdeveloped areas also need to have the equal access to such a structure to ensure that knowledge are equally spread. Building a regional and international environment based on partnership and openness enables us to establish stronger economies, enhance global competitiveness, and improve the quality of life for our people in a sustainable manner. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to highlight that the ACD has been instrumental in advancing multilateralism within Asia. The ACD promotes a vision of multilateralism that is inclusive, equitable, and action and solution-oriented. Multilateralism might be more than just a platform for dialogue. It should be a mechanism for action and collaboration. We envision a multilateral system that addresses not only economic disparities, but also challenges such as climate change, health crisis, and security threats, emphasizing the need for a rules-based international system that supports fair trade, sustainable development, and mutual respect among nations. This requires a commitment to inclusive dialogue where all voices are heard and respected. To sum up, from the perspective of the ACD, inclusive and sustainable development in Asia centers on and around collaborative policy making, shared innovation, and mutual support across the diverse history and culture of member states. To achieve sustainable development, no single country can act alone. Collaboration and regional integration should be emphasized. Resilience, openness, and inclusiveness, digital empowerment, and green ecology and growth should be accentuated for the benefit of our people and region. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Sohail Khan, Deputy Secretary General of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Madam Chair, Your Excellency, Madam Chair, Mrs. Amida Salisia, Alice Jabana, the Executive Secretary, distinguished heads of delegation, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Dobre Utra, Washanghao. I am pleased to represent the Shanghai Cooperation Organization at the 81st session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific and today's sub-regional dialogue, which is dedicated this year to the subject of current and emerging policy issues of inclusive and sustainable development in Asia and Pacific. The SCO has established a solid legal framework for cooperation and effective mechanism for interaction on issues related to sustainable development. This year, at the initiative of Chinese presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the heads of member states declared 2025 as the year of sustainable development within the SCO. In this regard, the member states of our organization are putting forward new initiatives and ideas to carry out activities aimed at protecting the environment, use of natural resources, ensuring environmental sustainability of the region, energy strategy, and so on and so forth. I would like to cite the upcoming SCO forum also here on poverty reduction and sustainable development to be held in the city of Yanglin in China next month this year. I would like to note that this year, that the year of 2024 was declared the year of ecology and became a significant milestone in the development of cooperation and environmental protection, and in general, the achievement of sustainable development goals. Last year, a number of documents were adopted, including Joint Action Plan for the implementation of the SCO Green Belt Program. joint approaches of the SCO member states to tackle environmental problems, action plan for the implementation of concept of cooperation of the SCO member states in the field of environmental protection, and SCO statement on effective waste management. In addition, the agreement on cooperation in the field of environmental protection signed in Astana, Kazakhstan last July, created a firm legal base for joint actions to preserve ecosystems, prevent pollution, introduce innovative environmental technologies, and for adaptation to climate change. In order to consolidate efforts to address global environmental challenges, the SCO is expanding and deepening international relationship. In February 2024, a memorandum of understanding was signed between SCO Secretariat and the United Nations Environment Programme. It is extremely important for us to cooperate with the organization that defines the global environmental agenda. Last July, the SCO Secretariat, jointly with the Chinese side, organized the SCO Forum Year of Ecology 2024 in the Chinese city of Qingdao. This event made it possible to discuss contemporary environmental challenges and identify ways to deepen cooperation in the field of environmental protection. Distinguished Executive Secretary, Excellencies, in 24 years of its existence, the SCO has achieved significant results in its activities in various spheres. There are about 28 to 29 spheres of cooperation currently undertaken by the SCO's Secretariat. The SCO's geography has expanded and the organization's potential has grown with it. New dialogue partners have been added from the Middle Eastern and African region, as well as from the Southeast Asia. In total, today, we are a family of 26 member states, out of which 10 are full-fledged members, 2 are observers, with Afghanistan under question mark, and about 14 dialogue partners. And many more have shown their intent to join the organization. The SCO actively works with international and regional organizations, and today we have official relationship with ICRC, CIS, the ECO, ASEAN, CSTO, SICA, the EEC, and a number of specialized UN agencies. ESCAP has been an active partner of SCO since 2015, but our practical cooperation dates back to 2004. It is encouraging that our work with ESCAP is yielding concrete practical results. One of the striking examples is the intergovernmental agreement on the creation of favorable conditions for road transportation signed by the SCO member states and prepared with the expert assistance of ESCAP. We also hold annual joint events in Bangkok. As information, I would also like to share that joint plans in areas such as agriculture, energy, and disaster risk reductions are currently being discussed between ESCAP and SCO secretariats. In total, there are about 28 spheres, as I said already, of active cooperation between SCO member states in the areas of political security, trade and economic relations, cultural and humanitarian cooperation. SCO, and I also like to underscore here that SCO countries or the geography of SCO can be a socio-economic connect between Southeast Asia to Middle Eastern and African countries via South Asia and Euro-Asian region, using both landmass, which we all call Silk Route, as well as maritime connect routes. In conclusion, I would like to once again thank Madame Amida Celsia Alice Jabana and the ESCAP leadership of the ESCAP Secretariat team for inviting us to participate in this event and for their attention and hospitality. We sincerely wish success to the 81st ESCAP session and our dialogue. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the video message from His Excellency Mr. Esala Nayasi, Deputy Secretary General, Pacific of the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat.
The Honorable Chair, Honorable Ministers, the Executive Secretary for UNESCAP, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Warmest greetings from the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat here in Suva, Fiji. I'm honored to address you at this 81st session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, and to have the opportunity to share reflections on our experiences and discuss the strategic policy priorities for the Blue Pacific region. As you are well aware, our global context is rapidly evolving. At the regional level, as we work to rebuild our economies following the COVID-19 pandemic, we now face more economic stresses, including the global trade tensions. There is a shifting landscape of development assistance at a time when critical resources are required to meet the development aspirations of our people. We also acutely feel the results of increased levels of transnational crime, which is impacting the socio-economic fabric of our communities. These challenges sit alongside increased geopolitical focus on our Blue Pacific region. In the face of such uncertainty, our policy priorities for our region remains grounded in our long-term plan for our people through the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent. Our vision, as articulated by our leaders, is for a resilient Pacific region of peace, harmony, security, social inclusion, and prosperity that ensures all Pacific peoples can lead free, healthy, and productive lives. And this remains our North Star amongst this time of uncertainty. Your Excellencies, our partnership with the ESCAP has been instrumental in advancing inclusive and sustainable development in our Blue Pacific region. This includes supporting the establishment of the Pacific Resilience Facility, which was prominently showcased earlier this week during a side event on Monday. The Pacific Resilience Facility is our own climate and disaster preparedness fund, designed by the Pacific for Pacific communities. It will provide timely and predictable funding for community-led climate adaptation and disaster preparedness projects across the region. We also recognize UNESCAP's technical support in the development of the Pacific Regional Framework for Climate Mobility, which was endorsed by our leaders at their meeting in Cook Islands in 2023. This landmark framework provides the first comprehensive regional approach to addressing the complex challenges of migration, displacement, and planned relocation driven by climate change. Additionally, the Pacific Roadmap for Economic Development was recently endorsed by the Forum Economic Ministers meeting in Tonga at their meeting in March of this year. And UNESCAP, again, had also provided technical support towards the development of this roadmap. With this, we are now seeking development partners to align their support with the implementation plan of this roadmap. Excellencies, the 2030 Agenda has provided a critical platform to lift global ambition for sustainable development. With 5 years remaining, we must both accelerate progress to achieve our targets while also looking beyond 2030 to consider if our development instruments and approaches are sufficient to meet the challenges of our future. A significant milestone in ensuring global development policy tools recognized and address unique and structural vulnerabilities of our Pacific region is the UN General Assembly endorsement of the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index, or MVI in short. Our Pacific policy priorities for 2030 set the foundations for the transformative change we seek in our 2050 vision. We have embarked on work to strengthen our regional architecture, deliver impact through regional collective actions, and deepen Pacific regionalism. In parallel, we are progressing policy priorities that are key to sustainable development outcomes. This includes consultations on a number of key policy initiatives, including an Ocean of Peace Declaration, which will be considered by our leaders at their meeting in September of this year. To achieve our 2050 vision, partnerships that are strategically aligned to our priorities are critical. In this regard, we look forward to continued partnerships as intended through these consultations that we're having today, and welcome efforts for inter-regional and inter-sub-regional cooperation, such as that we have with ASEAN and also the Commonwealth Secretariat. Honorable Chair and Excellencies, again, I thank you for the opportunity to address you today, and I wish you well in your deliberation. Lastly, to our colleagues at ESCAP, the Executive Secretary and your team, including your team here in Suva, Fiji, that is ably led by Ms. Andy Fongtoy, we deeply value our partnership, and I thank you for all your continued support and commitment to the Blue Pacific region. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the video message from His Excellency Mr. San Luin, Deputy Secretary General for ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations.
In the ASEAN region enjoy the fruits of peace, stability, and socio-economic progress, contribute significantly by more than 5 decades of ASEAN cooperation. However, the region faces significant challenges, including rapid urbanization, deforestation, climate change, impacts on livelihoods, urban access gap, food insecurity, and prevalent informal employment, among others. Effective action for sustainable development requires the nuanced understandings of the interconnected economic, social, culture, and geopolitical landscape. Today, I wish to highlight the instrumental roles of regional organizations, particularly ASEAN, in driving collective actions towards equitable and sustainable development for all within this broader context. I will focus on 3 key strengths that enable ASEAN to address emerging policy issues in this collective effort. Thus, our strategy's commitment to integrating equitable and sustainable development within Southeast Asia, providing a strong foundation aligned with the SDG. Second, our consensus-driven process and deeply held values that foster robust regional collaboration and ensure shared ownership of sustainable solutions. And that our unwavering commitment to people-centered and inclusive approaches, offering a significant contribution to achieving lasting and equitable sustainability across the wider Asia Pacific. Thus, ASEAN commitment to fostering a prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable region is deeply embedded in its guiding framework, notably ASEAN Community Vision 2025, looking ahead to the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. These documents articulate ASEAN long-term economic, social, culture, and political aspirations, recognizing the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as a crucial global compact. ASEAN has strategically sought to align its regional priorities through the complementarities initiative, reviewing them as an individual to achieving broader, equitable, and sustainable progress across Southeast Asia and contributing to the stability and prosperity of Asia Pacific. The complementarities initiative, led by Thailand and supported by ESCAP, and welcomed at the 9th ASEAN UN Summit in 2017, produced a key report mapping the synergies between ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and UN 2030 Agenda. The Complementarities Initiative 2.0 is currently being developed to align with the new visions and to better reflect current global and regional sustainability trends. Again, a cornerstone of ASEAN approach to fostering equitable and sustainable development lies in its business process and deeply held values. ASEAN Way, characteristic by dialogue, consultation, and consensus building, underpins our regional cooperation, ensuring that the diverse perspectives and needs of all member states are considered. This emphasis on regional harmony and cooperation allows us to collectively address complex challenges from economic disparities to environmental degradation, prioritizing inclusivities and building shared ownership for equitable and equitable sustainable outcomes. To illustrate these values and process in action, ASEAN has established key regional mechanisms across various sectors. In the critical areas of public health, ASEAN Public Health Emergency Coordination System, PPAPCS framework, provide a whole of ASEAN community approach for effective coordination, public health emergency coordination, aiming to significantly reduce loss of life and social cultural impact. Complementing this, the ambitious ASEAN Center for Public Health Emergency and Emerging Diseases, ACPHEED, will serve as a regional hub of excellence, strengthening ASEAN capabilities in preparedness, prevention, detections, and response to novel and re-emerging infectious diseases. Similarly, ASEAN commitment to addressing disaster and providing humanitarian assistance is evident through the ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance or Disaster Management, AHA Center, which play a vital role in coordinating regional response and mobilizing resources in the context of increasingly complex and climate-related disasters. In the areas of environmental sustainability, ASEAN is strengthening regional cooperation through the establishment of ASEAN Coordinating Centers for Transboundary Solutions and ASEAN Center for Climate Change. Furthermore, the envisaged ASEAN Cultural Heritage List aims to garner support for protections and conservations of ASEAN diverse tangible and intangible cultural heritage, recognizing its intrinsic value and contribution to sustainable environment. Finally, a significant contribution of ASEAN to the broader Asia-Pacific pursuit of equitable and sustainable development lies in its unwavering focus on people-centered and inclusive approaches. The ASEAN Enabling Master Plan 2025, mainstreaming the rights of people with disability, ASEAN Gender Mainstreaming Strategy Framework, and ASEAN Guidelines on Possibilities of Social Security Benefits for Migrant Workers in ASEAN demonstrate our dedication to inclusivity. ASEAN fosters a future-ready through initiatives like ASEAN Declarations of HRD for Changing Worlds of Work and the Roadmap of Digital Transformations of Education System in ASEAN, to name a few. Furthermore, ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, of which negotiations are ongoing, emphasizes bridging the digital divide and ensuring participation in the digital transformation. ASEAN Blue Economy Framework highlights our integrated approach to the sustainable use of marine and freshwater resources, focusing on the well-being and livelihoods of coastal community, and the ASEAN Strategy for Carbon Neutrality identified decarbonization solutions tailored to the region in view of a just transitions. Distinguished guests, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, the pursuit of equitable and sustainable development across the Asia-Pacific requires robust regional leadership and collaboration, where ASEAN is uniquely positioned as a driving force. Through established framework and mechanisms, including ASEAN Community Vision 2025, diverse cooperation platform, and deep understanding of the specific needs and priorities of our member states, ASEAN can foster tailored solutions and catalyze significant progress. Looking ahead, ASEAN, like the wider Asia-Pacific, will face resolving and increasing complex issues. However, it is precisely ASEAN's inherent strength, our commitment to strategic integration, our ability to build consensus and foster regional ownership, and our focus on inclusive and people-centered solutions that will be crucial in effectively tackling these future challenges with agility and foresight.
Thank you. Before we start our country interventions, I would like to invite the Secretary of the Commission to make an announcement.
Thank you, Chair. As I had mentioned earlier at the outset, we had a special ballot this morning to determine who between Mongolia and Pakistan would be competing in the second round alongside Cambodia for the remaining seat to the Governing Council of the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization, CSAM. And the balloting closed at 9:30, so I'm pleased to provide the results. We had 30 members present and voting, and Mongolia has obtained 18 votes, and Pakistan has obtained 12 votes. Therefore, Mongolia would compete in the second round. So the second round of elections for the remaining seat to the Governing Council of CSAM will be between Cambodia and Mongolia to determine who will fill the last remaining seat on the Governing Council. And I remind you, the second round of elections for the remaining seat to the Governing Council of Statistical Institute for Asia and the Pacific, SIAP, will be between Georgia and Pakistan to determine who will fill the last remaining seat on the Governing Council. The elections for the second round will take place between 11 and 13 hours in Conference Room 1, and we invite all members in attendance to go and cast their vote. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. I now open the floor for country statements. I would like to urge all speakers to adhere to the time limit for 3 minutes. I remind all delegates that longer statements can be sent to the Secretariat and will be circulated. In order to maintain order and for delegations to be ready to take the floor, when I call on the speaker, I will also announce the delegation next in line. The floor is open now. The first speaker is Fiji, to be followed by China. The Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Fiji reiterates the statement delivered earlier by the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat for the Pacific Island countries and territories. As we draw closer to 2030, progress towards achieving the 2030 agenda should indicate that all countries are closer to reaching their targets and that initiatives undertaken at national levels should complement and enhance our collective efforts at the sub-regional and regional level. The Pacific sub-region remains inundated with challenges which continue to hinder our implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. However, shared priorities and opportunities for cooperation exist at the sub-regional level. In the Pacific, small island developing states are particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, faced with economic disparities, debt vulnerabilities, and digital exclusion. These states are in dire need of tailored solutions, including for climate finance. Indeed, this lack of progress has had different impacts on both economic and social progress in the sub-region and constrained actions to address climate change and strengthen resilience to disasters. Addressing these challenges will require integrated policies and coordinated efforts at the regional and sub-regional levels. To this end, Pacific small island developing states have established two innovative financing options in the sub-region: the Pacific Catastrophe Risk Insurance Company and the Pacific Resilience Facility of the Pacific Islands Forum, as highlighted by PIF earlier. Chair, we also acknowledge and are appreciative of the work that ESCAP Pacific Sub-Regional Office is undertaking, along with the United Nations Development System, the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat, and our crop agencies to harness complementarities, synergies, and opportunities for policy coherence with the 2050 strategy for a blue Pacific continent, in alignment with the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for Small Island Developing States, a renewed declaration for resilient prosperity. To accelerate our sub-regional cooperation, the Pacific sub-regional architecture is being reviewed, including with a view to establishing a more strategic and rationalized partnership mechanism. Chair, underpinning all our efforts is the vitality of strengthened partnerships with our member states, international organizations, and the private sector entities. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Fiji, for your statement. Next speaker is China, to be followed by India. China, you have the floor.
谢谢主席。联合国加强同区域和次区域组织合作，是联合国宪章的明确要求，是多边主义的重要体现，也是国际社会的普遍期待。中方支持亚太经社会同区域和次区域组织根据联合国宪章宗旨和原则开展合作，为应对地区性挑战，加快落实2030年可持续发展议程，增进人类福祉作出贡献。同时，有关区域和次区域组织也应当积极发挥作用，维护联合国宪章宗旨和原则，遵守国际法和公认的国际关系准则，捍卫以联合国为核心的多边体系，推动各国在多边主义旗帜下团结进步。中方积极推动同区域和次区域组织开展经济社会领域的合作。中日韩多领域对话合作陆续重启，中国东盟区域经济一体化进程持续推进。中国南亚合作论坛、中国南亚博览会等已成为中国同南亚国家主要贸易合作平台。蓝莓合作机制正迈向下一个金色10年。今年，中国将作为轮值主席国主办上合组织峰会， 我们将以中国行动擦亮上海精神，推动构建更加紧密的上合组织命运共同体。中方愿同其他区域和次区域组织深化在 ESCAP 等多边领域的合作，携手做多边主义的践行者、开放发展的倡导者、文明对话的推动者，共同为亚太可持续繁荣发展做出不懈努力。谢谢主席。
Thank you, China, for your statement. The next speaker on my list is India, to be followed by Iran. India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, India appreciates the efforts of ESCAP to promote a sub-regional perspective to advance regional cooperation for sustainable development. Given the diversity of issues and challenges within the Asia Pacific, building on a bottom-up sub-regional approach is useful to promote cooperation in the specific area. Connectivity in all its dimensions lies at the heart of sub-regional development strategy. As a member of several multilateral and regional groupings and mechanisms such as BIMSTEC, Mekong-Ganga Cooperation, IORA, SAARC, and SCO, and as a close partner of ASEAN, India has been actively promoting the connectivity agenda in the sub-regional and regional context. It is widely acknowledged that physical connectivity must go hand in hand with digital and energy connectivity. Boosting physical connectivity, however, remains a prerequisite for a smooth flow of goods, services, and people across border. Completion of the trilateral highway connecting India with Thailand through Myanmar and its extension to other ASEAN countries connecting Northeast India to the Pacific can be a game changer, transforming the economies in the region. The coastal shipping agreements and motor vehicle agreements among India and its regional partners, once implemented, will have the potential to open new vistas, transforming the connectivity landscape. The nations around and proximate to the Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean littoral have shared interest. The recently concluded BIMSTEC Maritime Transport Agreement will strengthen cooperation in merchant shipping and cargo transport, giving a significant boost to trade across the region. Enhancing maritime connectivity with ASEAN countries and exploring ways to link our initiative with ASEAN's connectivity plans remains a priority for India to catalyze trade, investment, and people-to-people tie. Similarly, as the forthcoming chair of IORA, India's endeavor will be to make the Indian Ocean a more seamless and cooperative space while contributing to build capacity and secure safety and security in the Indian Ocean region. On the energy front, efforts are also underway to strengthen cross-border cooperation in energy sector through electric grid interconnection to promote optimum use of renewable energy. Initiatives such as CGI OSOWOG initiative of International Solar Alliance hold immense potential to accelerate green transition. As we rapidly digitalize commerce, infrastructure, and governance, there is an immense potential to enhance cross-border digital connectivity. For example, India has one of the largest fintech and digital payments ecosystem. Establishing connectivity with India's UPI and payment system integration can catalyze trade, investment, and tourism, boosting economic networks at sub-regional and regional levels. Excellencies, India has multi-faces and very special engagement with Pacific Island countries. It is anchored in our bilateral ties and mechanisms such as the Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation. Our Pacific friends have benefited from India-UN Development Partnership Fund, which supports demand-driven sustainable development projects. India leads several global initiatives such as International Solar Alliance and the Green Grid Initiative, One Sun, One World, One Grid, the Infrastructure for Resilient Island States, the Coalition of Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and the Global Biofuel Alliance, which benefit our Pacific partners and other small island developing states. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, India, for your statement. The next speaker on my list is Iran, to be followed by Thailand. Iran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished delegates, it's my honor to attend at the sub-regional dialogue of the 81st Commission session with a focus on opportunities for an inclusive and sustainable development to contribute to the region's social, economic, and environmental issues. Also, I welcome presence of high-level representatives of sub-regional organizations in this high-level dialogue. In particular, I welcome the presence of His Excellency Ambassador Hosseini, Deputy Secretary General of the Asia Cooperation Dialogue, known as ACD, which Iran chaired for the 2024. And we are pleased that the ACD for 2025 will be chaired by our esteemed host country. Mr. Chairman, economic diplomacy of the Islamic Republic of Iran attaches increasing importance on regional, sub-regional, and multilateral mechanisms and expresses its readiness to expand ties with other countries in key fields such as energy, new technologies, and transit. Islamic Republic of Iran attaches great importance to improving international corridors to achieve sustainable development in freight transport and transit. Many countries in our region including sub-regional countries, are facing challenges to achieve sustainable development due to increasing vulnerability to environmental challenges, especially transboundary hazards, including sand and dust storms, which are significant environmental hazards in Western Asia, South Asia, and Central Asia. The transboundary nature of STS requires unified and coherent action to facilitate capacity building, raise awareness, and enhance preparedness and respond to STS in countries for our region. To support UN coalition on combating sand and dust storm, which is led by the ESCAP and its sister commission, ESCWA, for 2025 and 2026 term, the Islamic Republic of Iran encourages all regional, sub-regional, and international organizations and relevant stakeholders who are interested to contribute to the implementation of the UN Decade on Combating Sand and Dust Storm for 2025-2034 to consider joining the UN coalition. If insufficient collective action is taken, the effects could become catastrophic: mass displacement, food and water insecurity, and civil unrest, to name but a few. Moreover, countries' national plans need to be complemented with cross-border collaborations. We need greater understanding of these complex risks in order to shift international finance towards inclusive resilience that enhances resilience at all levels: local, national, regional, sub-regional, and global. Such an approach will require supporting long-term cooperation between countries. It will demand a broader set of multilateral organizations recognize resilience as within their mandates and the development of innovative solutions and financial instruments. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ran, for your statement. The next speaker on my list is Thailand, to be followed by Philippines. Thailand, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Achieving sustainability and ensuring inclusivity remains a priority for ASEAN, as reflected by Malaysia's ASEAN Championship theme for 2025, Inclusivity and Sustainability, which Thailand fully supports. With only 14% of targets on track, the Asia-Pacific region is facing urgent needs to accelerate action for sustainability. ASEAN is also experiencing rapid urbanization, with over half of our population already living in urban areas. And sustainable urbanization is therefore one of the issues we need to work on if we are to achieve the SDGs. As mentioned by the Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN, we are relooking at the complementarities between our new vision and the United Nations 2030 agenda to explore 5 new priority areas to achieve a resilient and sustainable future. First, strengthening resilience against climate change. With increasing urbanization, cities in ASEAN are facing increasing risks from extreme weather events and unprecedented natural disasters. To withstand these challenges, cities must be equipped with disaster-resilient infrastructure and prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery systems to ensure our livelihoods. Second, mobilizing green finance. Facilitating the flow of investments into green and sustainable projects will support climate-resilient infrastructure, drive green economy, and ensure environmental sustainability, both in urban and suburban areas. Third, advancing energy transition. To accelerate decarbonization, ASEAN has developed a policy framework to guide clean energy transition effort, which is crucial for meeting climate targets and improving air quality. The ASEAN Power Grid, which is established to enhance cross-border renewable energy trade, has a key role to play in this regard. Fourth, leveraging digital transformation, which is essential for sustainable urban development. The ASEAN Smart City Network, with its membership of 34 cities across ASEAN, plays an instrumental role in sustainable urban development, serving as a platform to share green and smart solutions through digitalization and the use of technologies. Fifth, enhancing networks and partnerships, which play a crucial role in supporting sustainable urbanization by facilitating resource mobilization and developing innovative solutions for urban challenges. ASEAN has also developed the ASEAN Sustainable Urbanization Strategy, or ASUS, to support cities towards sustainable urban development and help build the capacity of local communities to manage urban growth sustainably. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, and distinguished delegates, urban transformation significantly impacts the achievement of the SDGs, and effective urban planning and management are crucial for harnessing the potential of urbanization to achieve the SDGs, while also mitigating its associated challenges. But no one can achieve this alone. And Thailand, as the ASEAN coordinator for Sustainable Development Cooperation, will continue to enhance ASEAN's cooperation with all stakeholders and external partners to ensure that the ASEAN region remains the driver of sustainability in the Asia-Pacific region. I thank you.
Thank you, Thailand, for your statement. The next speaker is Philippines, to be followed by Bangladesh. The Philippines, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Philippines reaffirms its strong commitment to inclusive and sustainable development and welcomes the deepening cooperation between ESCAP and ASEAN. ASEAN and the UN's partnership continues to evolve meaningfully, particularly through the complementarities initiative between the mutually reinforcing ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We welcome the important work done between ASEAN and ESCAP to advance the SDGs in ASEAN through dialogue, capacity building, and technical cooperation across critical areas such as climate finance, trade and investment, women's economic empowerment, and sustainable transportation. We also look forward to cooperation on digital innovation and transformation, disaster risk reduction, and humanitarian assistance. The Philippines also supports strengthened collaboration in promoting renewable energy and regional energy connectivity to enable a just and inclusive energy transition. We appreciate ESCAP's support for the ASEAN Regional Investment Promotion Plan, which will promote ASEAN as a unified destination for sustainable development, sustainable investment, accelerate green transition, and drive inclusive and resilient economic growth. The ASEAN Community Vision 2045, set to be adopted this year, places sustainability, resilience, innovation, and inclusivity at the heart of our regional agenda. As the Philippines assumes the chairship of ASEAN in 2026, we recognize that effective partnerships will be key to driving forward the implementation of this vision in its inaugural year. ASEAN's continued collaboration with ESCAP and the broader UN system will be vital to translate our regional aspirations into action and accelerate SDG implementation toward 2030. The Philippines shall continue to working closely and with and through ASEAN and ESCAP to shape a more sustainable future that leaves no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippines, for your statement. The next speaker is Bangladesh. Bangladesh, you have the floor.
Good morning, and distinguished guests and excellencies. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a statement on behalf of Bangladesh. Asia-Pacific region represents about 60% of the global economy as well as 60% of the global population. Yet the progress in SDG is shockingly falling behind. In most of the targets and the goals, Asia-Pacific, the progress towards the SDG is off track. And regional cooperation, especially the sub-regional cooperation, is vital if we want to accelerate our progress towards the achievement of sustainable development goals in the remaining years that we have. And we firmly believe, Bangladesh firmly believes in the regional cooperation, especially in the sub-regional, at the sub-regional level. Upon assuming the becoming the head of the government, our chief advisor, Professor Mohammed Yunus, reiterated our commitments to sub-regional cooperations. This year, Bangladesh has assumed the chairmanship of BIMSTEC. Bangladesh is also a member of the Asian Cooperation Dialogue. And we express our intention to become part of ASEAN, as well as our ascension to RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Bangladesh is also taking active initiative to revitalize SAARC, and without the cooperation between the countries in the region, we believe that peace and stability will not return. One of the problems that Bangladesh is facing is the Rohingya crisis, the refugee crisis. We certainly need to solve this problem because it is causing a serious burden on the economy as well as in the overall peace and stability of the region. And we seek cooperation from the countries in the region, in the sub-region, to resolve this issue as soon as possible. With that statement, I thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you, Bangladesh, for your statement. The next speaker on my list is Kazakhstan, to be followed by Tajikistan. Kazakhstan, you have the floor.
Благодарю, уважаемый председатель, уважаемые делегаты. Прежде всего, позвольте от имени Министерства экологии и природных ресурсов Республики Казахстан выразить благодарность за возможность выступить сегодня перед столь уважаемой аудиторией. Я рад представить вам один из самых амбициозных и уникальных экологических проектов в Центральной Азии – «Зеленый пояс вокруг города Астаны», столицы Казахстана. Когда мы говорим об озеленении городов, обычно представляем парки, скверы и уличные аллеи. Однако проект, о котором я расскажу, выходит далеко за рамки привычных решений. Астана – это город, расположенный в самом сердце степи Евразии. Климат здесь резко континентальный. Зима может длиться до 6 месяцев с температурой до минус 40 градусов. А летом температура достигает плюс 40. Ветер, пыльные бури и практически полное отсутствие естественных лесов создавали серьезные экологические и климатические вызовы. Тем не менее, именно здесь Казахстан начал уникальный по масштабу и условиям проект создания искусственного леса площадью более 100 тысяч гектаров, который окружает город полукольцом, защищая его от песчаных бурь и ветров, снижая температуру летом и повышая влажность воздуха. Цель проекта не просто озеленение, а трансформация экосистемы. В рамках проекта были адаптированы десятки пород деревьев и кустарников, способные выживать в экстремальных условиях. Была проделана масштабная научно-исследовательская работа, в том числе с участием международных экспертов. С 1997 года, когда началось создание зеленого пояса, было высажено более 107 миллионов деревьев и 63 миллионов кустарников. Вокруг Астаны возник настоящий лесной массив, который не только меняет климатические характеристики города, но и стал домом для многих диких животных. Этот проект доказывает, что даже в экстремальных климатических условиях можно создавать устойчивые зеленые зоны, если подойти к задаче комплексно, с опорой на науку, технологии и политическую волю. Мы считаем, что этот опыт может быть полезен для других стран, сталкивающихся с проблемами опустынивания, климатических экстремумов и дефицита зеленых насаждений. Особенно в условиях глобального изменения климата такие инициативы становятся все более актуальными. Благодарю вас за внимание и приглашаю к сотрудничеству. Более подробно о данном проекте мы расскажем сегодня в 15:45 в зале CR3. Приглашаем всех принять участие. Спасибо.
Thank you, Kazakhstan, for your statement. The next speaker is Tajikistan. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Currently, the government of Tajikistan is implementing its national strategy for development until 2013, the main purpose of which is to improve the well-being of populations through sustainable development. In order to successfully solve a complex of issues, we have identified within the framework of national development strategy until 2030 such strategic goals as ensuring energy independence, breaking the communication deadlock, ensuring food security, and accelerating industrialization, without which the achievement of SDG seems impossible. I would like also to note that further development of hydropower and renewable energy sources are priority issues for Tajikistan. Efficient use of water resources, which are becoming the most vulnerable due to climate change, plays an important role in achieving the SDGs. It's safe to say that such has much achieved in this regard within the framework of the International Decade Water for Sustainable Development 2018-2028, in order to provide favorable opportunities for cooperation in the field of target and use of water resources. In its turn, the achievement of these goals required the implementation of specific projects at the different levels. In this area, we consider as priorities an increase in efficiency of technologies as well as digitalization of the vital spheres of the country. Tajikistan realized an important role of scientific and technological progress in taking appropriate measures to improve the legislation and institutional framework in order to use global trends to achieve sustainable development of the country. In this regard, the concept of digital economy of Tajikistan and the medium-term program for development of the digital economy in Tajikistan for 25 and 30 were adopted. In addition, the concept of each government formation in the Republic of Tajikistan, the law on electronic signature and electronic communities were adopted. In this regard, we hope that the relevant United Nations and other international institutions, donor countries, will render specific assistance and support to the development countries for resolving these important problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Tajikistan, for your statement. Would any other delegation wish to take the floor? I see none. Then we have reached the end of the allotted time for this agenda item. And I would like, therefore, need to close the list of speakers for this item. And before we adjourn for the day, may I call the Secretary of the Commission to make an announcement?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to remind all delegates that this morning we're having the second round of balloting to fill one remaining seat for the governing councils of the Center for Sustainable Agriculture Mechanization, CSAM, and the Statistical Institute for Asia and the Pacific, SIAP. The second round of elections for the remaining seats to the Governing Council of CSAM will be between Cambodia and Mongolia to determine who will fill the last remaining seat on the Governing Council. The second round of elections for the remaining seat to the Governing Council of SIAP will be between Georgia and Pakistan to determine who will fill the last remaining seat on the Governing Council. The elections are taking place now at 11 o'clock. between 11 and 13 hours in conference room 1, and all members in attendance are kindly requested to cast their vote. Turning to side events, a reminder that starting at 11:15 and throughout the rest of the morning and afternoon, we'll have numerous side events hosted by our member states and partner organizations to complement and enrich the deliberations of the plenary. The side events for today are shown on the screen and are also listed on the Commission website. These side events are open to all participants of the Commission, and most of them are also in a hybrid format, so participants can also attend online. And we encourage all participants to attend these valuable side events. And also to visit the Urban Innovations Fair. As you have seen throughout the week, we have different stalls set up by countries and partners. If you have not visited them yet, please do so, and you can stop and get some first-hand explanation from the exhibitors, and learn also what other countries are doing, and also be inspired and share what you are doing. In terms of sustainability, Chair, we're also proud to inform that the Commission session is a climate-neutral event. Emissions will be calculated and offset through certified carbon credits as part of our broader commitments to sustainability. And you're also invited to visit our exhibition booth on the ground floor to learn more about ESCAP's journey toward net zero. I now turn to the evaluation of the session. As mandated by the Commission, the Secretariat provides delegations with the opportunity to assess the results and quality of the session through a feedback questionnaire. In this connection, we would like to request each participant to complete a brief online survey through the link available on the Commission webpage under the Overview tab. You will also see a signage at the entrance of this conference room providing the link to the survey and the QR code. The same information has also been provided to your delegation through your liaison officer. Your feedback will help improve the quality of our services and support to all delegations. Thank you for taking the time to provide us with your most valuable feedback. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lorenzo. This concludes our discussion on the agenda item 2B. We will resume the discussions in plenary tomorrow, Thursday, 24th April at 9 hours sharp. To take up agenda item 5, review of the implementation of the 23rd Agenda of Sustainable Development in Asia and the Pacific and issues pertinent to the subsidiary structure of this Commission. Thank you, distinguished delegates. The meeting is adjourned.